Just too much.
Finally, someone who gets it. Finally, someone in the WNBA who understands this thing called business.
Jacy Sheldon tried to play the enforcer, but Sophie Cunningham flipped the script and made her the punchline. 1 second Sheldon's throwing shade. The next she's a feature act on Sophie's highlight reel. This wasn't basketball. It was Cunningham putting on a full-blown row session with buckets to match. Forget fundamentals and X's and O's. This was chaos, flair, and entertainment at its finest.
Of course, Sophie Cunningham owned Jacy Sheldon from the same game that Marina Mabrey did the massive body slam into Caitlin Clark on. And of course, later in the game, Sophie Cunningham would take her rightful place as the Indiana Fever enforcer, and I believe took the first step to her becoming the second most popular player in the WNBA.
Jacy Sheldon couldn't have picked a worse time to play pretend enforcer. She went in with that cheap shot, like she was about to star in some gritty hustle montage. But Sophie Cunningham flipped the script fast. Instead of looking tough, Sheldon got handed a front row seat to her own humiliation. It stopped feeling like basketball and started looking like a blooper reel audition. And the body language after Sophie's clapback? Brutal. That wasn't just a feat. It was a kind of secondhand embarrassment moment you carry forever. Like hitting send on a text meant for your ex and instantly wanting to disappear.
On a basketball court. And a lot of people don't want to watch that. They want to just watch basketball. Again, the league's been handed this miracle, this beacon of light, while it was down in some dungeon in the basement on life support, and it was never turned a...
Here's the thing about Sophie Cunningham. She's got that vibe where she could be your favorite brunch buddy, but the moment you test her on the court, she turns into your worst nightmare. That switch? Instant. Jacy Sheldon tried her little cheap shot, and Sophie didn't just answer back. She dismantled her. This wasn't a response. It was a full-blown demolition. Sheldon's tough girl routine fell apart faster than a gas station burrito under stress.
Celebration today in the WNBA dump. The Butt Bongo Band playing all the classics as dump divers enjoy the fiesta. We will miss layups. Or my new personal favorite, it's the remix to Ignition, R. Kelly is in prison, and the WNBA.
Let's get one thing straight. This wasn't some random dust-up. This was Sophie marking her territory, like a lioness laced up in Nikes. The whole arena caught the vibe. Not today, Sheldon. Not on my floor. Not on my watch. You could feel it ripple through the crowd, through the broadcast, probably even down to Sheldon's shoelaces untying themselves out of pure embarrassment. The irony? Sheldon walked in thinking she was about to play the enforcer, the intimidator, the shockwave sender. Instead, she fast-tracked herself into congratulations, you picked the wrong one club. Entry fee, 1 serving of public humiliation.
Keep an eye on Clark and Jacy Sheldon, right? Clark trying to back down Sheldon. Sheldon fouls Clark. Clark a little upset because she feels like she got poked in the eye. But then watch Marina Mabrey here. She sees what's happening. She comes.
The WNBA has seen plenty of heated moments, but this was a full-on comedy special with a scoreboard in the background. When the memes are locked and loaded before the final buzzer, you know it's rough. Jacy Sheldon tried to step into the villain role, but villains only work if they're actually intimidating instead of menacing. She showed up with substitute teacher energy, awkward, out of place, and not fooling anyone. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham rolled in with the charisma of the class clown who, plot twist, also runs the entire school.
With somebody playing the new role of Dejanay Carrington, Jacy Sheldon, we had Caitlin Clark getting teed up involved in the incident. How does that happen? You've got Marina Mabrey just coming in and Mabrey just crashing into Caitlin Clark, of course, slamming her to the ground.
Can we just pause to admire how Sophie made this look effortless? She didn't even break a sweat while turning Sheldon into a walking blooper reel. This wasn't some back and forth slugfest. This was Sophie treating it like light warm-ups. Sheldon tried to swing, and Sophie brushed it off like she was flicking lint from her sleeve. The gap in energy was so sharp, it felt scripted straight out of Netflix sports dramedy. And that crowd, they went from gasping to laughing in seconds, because nothing is harder than watching someone build their own downfall live. By the end, Sheldon wasn't just beaten. She was a punchline in every group chat meme for the week. Meanwhile, Sophie just strolled off like the action hero, walking away from an explosion. The kicker? This is exactly who Sophie is. She's not just chasing stats, she's writing statements. And the one she dropped here couldn't have been louder. Come at me sideways, and you're leaving sideways. Sheldon thought she was laying down the law, but Sophie's the one who actually drafted, passed, and signed it.
Of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on Jacy Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the...
And here's the thing. This isn't Sophie's first rodeo. She's practically curating a highlight reel of clapbacks, humiliations, and those perfectly timed don't test me moments. At this rate, she could drop a masterclass called How to End Careers While Still Draining Threes. Honestly, Sheldon should have signed up early, because the lesson hit her in real time. What makes it brutal isn't just a physical mismatch, it's the psychology. Sheldon tried the intimidation card, which sounds great in theory, but Sophie looked more annoyed than threatened. That's the ultimate disrespect. When you throw your best shot, and the other person treats it like background noise before dismantling you piece by piece from that moment on. Sophie leaned all the way in, doubling down with that signature mix of pettiness and power that makes her impossible to ignore. It was poetic, really. Cheap shots don't win championships, but they do win you a starring role in your opponent's highlight package. In this one, Sheldon was the feature. Sophie? She was a director, producer, and main attraction. That's not just defense, it's premium entertainment.
Yesterday or the day before, we're talking about an incident once or twice a week, every week in this league. This was not physical play. That's Bush League bullshit. Street ball crap on a basketball court. And a lot of people don't want to watch that. They want to just watch basketball. Again, the league's been handed this miracle, this beacon of light, while it was down in some dungeon in the basement online.
Somebody better make sure Sheldon's agent is updating her profile, because after this game, her endorsements are looking less Nike and more oops-proof bandages. Meanwhile, Sophie's stock? Through the roof. She's not just out there running plays. She's setting an entire vibe. And the vibe of this night was crystal clear. Do not mess with Sophie Cunningham unless you're ready to get roasted in 4K. The funniest part is imagining Sheldon in the locker room hyping herself up like, tonight's the night I make a statement. Well, she did, just not the one she had in mind. The WNBA runs on storylines, and this one wrote itself. Sophie versus Sheldon. Tough talk versus actual toughness. Spoiler. Toughness won, and it wasn't even a contest. If basketball had Yelp reviews, Sheldon's performance would be a 1-star rating. Not because she didn't try, but because she tried and face-planted in the most public, meme-worthy way possible. Sophie, on the other hand, she didn't just walk away with a W. She picked up a Michelin star in the art of humiliation.
Don't start no shit, won't be no shit. Shout out to the Indiana Fever. I'm feeling good, folks. Welcome to WNBA Fight Night, or as some people are saying, WNBA Raw.